Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing the HRCYED 3 recommendations and plans for my own TBR. And today we are road tripping. So basically we are getting in the car and going on an adventure. We are picking 5 books from different states, provinces, prefectures, whatever in a country, but not the most major area. So for example, if you are doing the United States, you can't do New York or California. If you're doing Japan, you can't do Tokyo. If you're doing like Germany, you can't do Berlin. And I'm assuming like if you're doing any sort of European venture, then you should skip the capital cities and possibly like the Amalfi Coast and Nice in France, Marseille, stuff like that, you know, the obvious places that you would want to go. Now, I am, let's see, I have sort of inadvertently gone to the States. And I don't know why, it just like happened that way. I do also feel like as for the regions in like traipsing through the regions prompt, I think I stayed out of the States mainly, so I do feel like it's fine to go to the States on our little road trip. So obviously we can't do New York, we can't do California. And at first up, I do have a recommendation for Alaska. And I say recommendation with some concerns, because I actually DNF'd The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. It was just so bleak and long. I just read The Women by Kristen Hanna, and I have previously read The Nightingale by her, and I just don't think she's for me. She's way too long-winded. There's just so many words, so many pages. It's not for me. Anyway, The Great Alone, the part I did read did seem like very evocative of Alaska. So do with that what you will. And if you do like Kristen Hanna's writing, you'll probably like this. Then we have Snake Eater by T. Kingfisher, and it doesn't really say what state it's in, as far as I can tell, but it's in a desert town somewhere, and I'm assuming it's made up. But, you know, with the surrounding landscape, it does feel like Texas, Arkansas-ish. I say that having never been to the States, so correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so as long as you don't do anything other in like that desert area vibe, you should be fine. But the Snake Eater is this woman who is living a bad situation, and she stumbles across this tiny little town in the desert, and stuff is happening there. And in T. Kingfisher style, the stuff is kind of creepy, but also kind of found family, you know, coming into one's own, finding your inner strength ish. So yeah, and I did finish this one and I really, really liked it. Then we have Connecticut by, not by, where we have Ninth House by Lee Bardugo, because this takes place in Yale, and I actually don't think I knew that Yale was in Connecticut, but I do now. This is the first in a trilogy, I'm assuming. I think the third one is coming out quite soon. But this is basically Alex, who gets a free ride to Yale because she can see dead people. And the people at Yale want her to join this ninth house that is basically supposed to police all the other 8 houses that are the secret societies of Yale. And they do magic, and I think they do magic in order to like get good grades or whatever. And then this 9th house is supposed to make sure that the magic doesn't get out of hand. Then we have the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, another DNF on my part. This is by Grady Hendrix, so if you have enjoyed his writing before, you'll probably like this one. It just got a little too graphic and gory for me. So if you do like that in your vampire books, definitely try this one out. It's set in South Carolina, and it's basically these ladies who join a book club, and then they find out that the book club is maybe a little more highbrow than they were hoping, and they are reading like some more intellectual books than they wanted to. So a couple of these ladies get together and form their own little book club where they read like more trashy books and more what's it called, like thrillers and mysteries and stuff like that. And not to say that trashy books are bad. Okay, I like a trashy book. But yeah, these other women in the book club don't. So that's why they have to break out and form their own little book club. And then it turns out that there's a new neighbor in town, and there's something suspicious about him. Then we have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I did finish this one. It's set in Vermont. Vermont? Vermont? I can't say that without it sounding weird now. Okay. This is about Jet, I want to say. And she is basically attacked in her own house one night. And she wakes up again after having a brain injury. She does wake up, but the doctors tell her you can either get this surgery, but there's like a 80% chance you're gonna die during the surgery, or you can do nothing, and then you will have like a week or two, maybe, I think they say, like a couple of weeks, and then you will die because there's a sliver of her skull that's like lodged in her brain, and if they don't do anything, it's definitely gonna kill her, but if they do something, it probably will kill her. So she's like, I'm going to take this opportunity to get the best amount of time to solve my own murder. And yeah, she does that. So basically she leaves the hospital, she teams up with a childhood friend of hers, and they try to solve the murder before she actually dies. Then we have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is set in Virginia, and if you haven't read this yet, now's the chance. This is basically about Blue, a young woman who meets these boys from the elite private school that's in her area. And the boys are looking for the remains of a Welsh king, I think he is, because if the one who finds this king gets a wish granted. And it's all about like ley lines and magical stuff, and it's just really interesting and atmospheric and fun. Then we have Starling House by Alexi Harrow. This is set in Kentucky, and basically, as far as I remember, this is about a young woman who is just like trying to keep her life together and survive, and she meets this guy who lives in a house that seems to be more than a house, maybe. It's really good. I was gonna say I love Alexi Harrow, but I read the Once and Future Witches and I didn't really love that, but I read The Everlasting and loved that one, and I also really enjoyed Starling House. So a bit of a hit or miss for me, but I think definitely the newer stuff that Alexi Harrow does is for me. Then we have The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed, which is set in Oregon, and this is basically about some girls who come together after realizing that they have both experienced some of the same stuff with, harassment and sexual assault and stuff like that, and basically just, the whole girls coming together to help support each other and maybe get some justice for the things that they have experienced, and the whole world just going against them. And then we have Moxie, which is set in Texas. This is also a young adult, and again, young girls finding their inner feminism and fighting back against sexist dress codes and stuff like that. I think that was everything. Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like you could definitely make a good road trip out of all these books. Then we have, for my own TBR, Wolf Worm by T. Kingfisher, which is set in North Carolina. I don't really know what this is about, but judging from the cover, it does seem like it's more in the T. Kingfisher camp that I like, because I do tend to like the horror stuff more than the fantasy, which is weird because fantasy is my favorite genre and I generally don't read horror at all. But I don't know, T. Kingfisher just does something that works for me in horror and that doesn't work for me in fantasy. So, yeah. Then we have 9 Lives by Peter Swanson, which is set in Maine. And again, to be honest, I don't really know what this one is about. Other than apparently there's a list, and I'm assuming there are 9 people on it, and they are being picked off one by one. I'm assuming. But I did read 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson years ago, and really enjoyed that one. And I think also The Christmas Guest, was that him? I think so. Yeah, I enjoyed that one too. They both had some really good twists, so I'm looking forward to that one. Then we have The Book Woman of Troublesome Creek in Kentucky. And once again, don't know what it's about. I'm assuming it's a woman who lives in Troublesome Creek and is affiliated with books somehow, which is never a bad thing. Then we have Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books by Kirsten Miller, which is set in Georgia. And as far as I remember, this is a woman who, I'm not sure if she is a librarian or just like loves books or whatever, but I'm assuming that there's some sort of banning of books and she takes it into her own hands to keep these books and then lend them out to people who are interested. And I definitely think that we should all be reading more banned books, because there's no reason to ban a book unless it's like hate speech. Then we have Ring Shout, which is also set in Georgia. This is a little bit iffy because, as far as I know, it's like kind of supernatural. So I'm like, does it count if it's not specifically our world? So yeah, I'm not sure it's going to actually count because it's a little bit magical. But basically it's about the Ku Klux Klan and how people are fighting back against them. Then we have No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy, which is set in Texas, and this is about a guy who comes across a bunch of money that has been left behind after some sort of gang run-in, because this place right on the border is a place where people are running like drugs and money across, and I guess there was some kind of incident and the money was left behind. So this guy finds the money and takes it, and then begins a manhunt. Yeah, basically. I'm a little bit wary of this one because I did read The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and man, that was bleak. So bleak, so sad, so depressing, so intense. Like, so I'm not sure, but this does seem to, have a little bit of a different plot, at least. So I don't know. Then we have Lone Women by Victor Lavelle, set in Montana, and this is basically a woman who comes to Montana to take advantage of, I think in the 1800s, where the government was giving out plots of land to lone women in order to, what's it called? Make the land farmland, is what I'm trying to say. And giving these women something to live off of if their husband was like dead or gone or whatever. And she brings this mysterious trunk, and once she settles down, people start to go missing. And this trunk is maybe more than just a trunk. We'll see. Yeah, that is my TBR for a road trip, and I do also feel like I can make a pretty good road trip out of those books. But if you have any recommendations, let me know. What are you reading for road tripping around the country? Are you going to the US like me? Are you going somewhere else? Maybe Europe, Australia, Africa, Asia, South America? I would be really interested to know, because I might join you if I fancy your stops along the way. But yeah, let me know, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!